Melania Trump's dark past is surfacing as that disastrous press conference she decided to hold yesterday regarding the Epstein files backfired in her face. We've seen Melania's name in the Epstein files, emails between her and Ghislaine Maxwell saying, "Hey, G, how are you? You look great in New York Magazine with Jeffrey Epstein." And then Ghislaine Maxwell, I'm paraphrasing, Ghislaine Maxwell responded, "Hey, sweet pea, can't hang out with you right now. Next time we're around, we'll try to hang out with each other." I mean, there are multiple photos with Ghislaine and Melania and Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein that are together. And when you take a look at Melania's dark past and how she got here into the United States in 1996 from Slovenia, she said she graduated from a university in Slovenia, which she did not graduate from that university. And she seemed to be putting false information on her official biography that she had to take down. There's lots of murky areas about when she really met Donald Trump. And she said she met him at a Kit Kat club when this modeling agency she worked for that was run by a guy named Paolo Zampoli, who's now an ambassador for the United States. But he ran a modeling agency where he brought Eastern European girls and women to the United States as models. And then they would have these parties at the Kit Kat Club, and wealthy Manhattan men would meet the models at the Kit Kat Club. And at one of these parties, Donald Trump met Melania. And then also in the Epstein files, there's references to Donald Trump talking about meeting Melania and how he used pretty explicit terms to refer to her looks and how he thought she looked at the time. And it's all very, very gross stuff. I want to peel back the curtain, though, on Melania's dark past. But one of the reasons why this press conference was also backfiring is it just drew a lot more attention to the Epstein files. And lots of people are asking, was she trying to preempt a story that's going to be coming out about either Donald Trump or her in the Epstein files? Why would you be doing such a press conference? People don't know. I mean, they're asking questions. I'm asking questions. Of course, I don't know the answer. Why would you be holding this press conference? And then she's like, "I'm not a victim. I'm not a survivor, but there should be congressional hearings where we let the survivors speak, and the survivors should now show up and tell their stories." And the survivors then immediately responded to Melania calling out the survivors. And they're like, "Stop invoking our name. We came forward. We've done everything we're supposed to do. You know who needs to testify right now? Pam Bondi. You know who needs to testify? People like Howard Lutnick, like the actual perpetrators. They're the ones who should show up before Congress and before the Department of Justice, and they should be investigated and prosecuted. Stop putting the onus and the burden on us as the survivor community. And also, don't invoke our names in the White House without telling us." I mean, what was that? I mean, you're now invoking our names while your so-called husband is involved in the cover-up right now. And also, why aren't you getting deposed, Melania? The survivors didn't say that, but I'm asking that. If y'all deposed Hillary Clinton and she wasn't in the files at all, why wouldn't you depose Melania, who is in those files? I mean, she's in the emails that I've referenced to Ghislaine Maxwell, her messages to Maxwell's message to her, the photos of them together. But, Melania's like, "The photos are fake. Those aren't real photos of us. The documents are fake. And we just hung out in the same social circles. That's about it. But we weren't friends. We didn't really know each other." I mean, when you read the emails, it seems that, in my opinion, you seem to be, friends. And I'll just share this with you as well right now. I mean, Melania is so deeply, deeply unpopular right now. Put it this way, she is the least popular first lady ever by far. Usually first ladies don't have net negative approvals. I don't think any first ladies have net negative. So now, as Melania is doing this, her net negatives, and CNN just ran a story on this, she's like net negative 12, like by far the most unpopular first lady. Here, watch this right here.
I would say that the American people really don't care for Melania Trump. Take a look at this. All right, let's take a look at Melania Trump's net favorable ratings. Look at this. The lowest ever. The lowest ever. We're talking about now 12 points underwater. If you go back a little bit more than a year ago, she was 3 points above water. You go back at this point, about this point in term number one for Donald Trump, Look at that. She was 30 points above water. So at this point, historic lows for Melania Trump. These numbers are absolutely awful.
One of the questions is why the shift now? But also, I guess, you need to look at this always in the historical context of how does she line up against other first ladies?
Yeah, okay. If we look at this historically, the worst ever at this point in term number 2. Look at this. We got her at 12 points underwater. Look at the rest of these first ladies on the board right here. They're all way above water. 42 points above water for Michelle Obama, 46 above water for Laura Bush, 25 points above water for Hillary Clinton, who was not always the most popular, and 50 points above water for Nancy Reagan. And I even looked at Joe Biden's numbers at this point in that presidency. Of course, that was term 1. She was above water as well. So this is the worst at this point in a presidency as well. Melania Trump breaking records in the way that you don't want to break records. Historically awful she is. The American people really don't care for her.
And you also, I'm saying you have new numbers or another look at the impact or the appeal that her appeal after her documentary came out?
Yeah, okay. So you asked in question number 1, you said, why? What is one of the reasons why? And I think one of the reasons why was this documentary. I think a lot of people saw it as political, even if she didn't want it to be. And you could just see it here. This is real world data. This is not just the polling data that shows the lack of appeal, historic lack of appeal that she has for a first lady. Look at this. Some of Melania's budget sheet. Look at this. The budget, rights and marketing, $75 million. That was what is estimated to have been spent by Amazon. Compare that to the box office, both domestic and international combined. We're talking about $17 million. That makes this a bomb. There was a lot of talk when the film came out. Hey, you know, it had a good opening weekend. But then basically it stopped making money. So unless Amazon is able to make this up through streaming, this is going to be a historic bomb. Amazon spent a ton of money on it. And look at that. Simply put, the money was not made back. That coalesces, that combines with the polling data to say that Melania Trump is historically unpopular for a first lady.
Oh, interesting. Good to see her.
Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Scott MacFarlane from the MeidasTouch network appeared on CNN last night, and here's how he described this. Let's play it.
Point Sarah just made. If the First Lady is trying to preemptively diffuse a journalistic bomb that's coming on the Epstein files, I know a lot of good PR practitioners who would say you don't diffuse a bomb by calling attention to the bomb that's about to come and land on you.
It's a good.
More from Scott MacFarlane here. Let's play this clip right here.
Or say nothing at all, as he's been trying to get the story out of the news. But you have been talking to Epstein survivors and following this story very closely as well. What have they told you about the First Lady suggesting that they testify publicly? They've been on the Hill. They've been advocating for months and months and months, some years.
One Epstein survivor, Danielle Bensky, texted to say, that was just bizarre. Because you know who else didn't know this was coming? The Epstein survivors and the members of Congress who've been championing transparency on this and the attorneys representing the Epstein survivors. If there is a desire by the First Lady for the Epstein survivors to be heard, they would have liked to have been heard before she spoke. Because, yeah, they're keen on talking to Congress, but there's some concerns there about would there be some legal exposure involved with that? Is their setting and the environment and the topic correct? And First Lady need not tell Congress what to do from Congress's perspective. They know what they want to have hearings on. They don't need the White House's authorization to have a hearing on this. And there's a sense here, at least among the survivors, that if you're going to pawn this off on Congress to have a hearing for the survivors, you are disclaiming any responsibility for putting out the records you still have yet to put out from the files.
And here's how they were talking about it on Fox, state regime media, where one of their hosts is like, we're not really sure why she did this. This kind of came out of nowhere. And now everybody's talking about the Epstein files again. And she injected it front and center. Here, play this clip.
This came out of left field for us here covering the White House. The press shop did not give us any insight into what this announcement would be about. That's typical. Oftentimes, the First Lady doesn't share a lot of details with the White House communications shop that, covers the president on what her announcements might be. We didn't, for instance, get a lot of details ahead of her prior announcement on her efforts bringing home Ukrainian children. But similarly, we had no heads up on this. We're not getting any information from them now, including whether or not the president was aware she would be making this statement. It's unclear to us if she is reacting to something or that's already happened, already come out, or getting ahead of a story that might be about to drop. We don't really know. And the content of what she's calling for, this congressional hearing to allow the victims to, openly testify about what they witnessed, is new. And it will certainly breathe new life into this story that has, in large part, not been, at the top of the news cycle lately. The attention here has been on other matters. So this brings the sort of public interest back to the Epstein story.
And now here's what Democratic Congress member Robert Garcia had to say about it all. Let's play the clip of Garcia.
Garcia, top Democrat on the Oversight Committee. He, of course, instrumental to getting the files such that we have released so far. Obviously, I know there's still a lot of fight to get a lot more. So, Congressman Garcia, do you have any indication about why Melania Trump made these statements that were surprising to all the reporters in the room who expected nothing on this topic? Do you know why she did that now?
We don't. In fact, we were as surprised as everyone else as to why she'd make these comments today. Why she made these comments. Is there information that she may be aware of that we are not? And so, no, it was pretty stunning to actually see these remarks. And I think for us, what was really clear is also the distance she was trying to put herself. I mean, look, it was just 2 days ago that Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche essentially said to the press and to the American public that this investigation was over and that somehow the DOJ was not going to move forward with anything else as it relates to the Epstein files. It's been, of course, the president has called this investigation a hoax. And so the fact that she comes out and addresses the country in this way and certainly talks about the survivors, I think was pretty stunning. It was certainly pushing away from what the White House has been doing. But look, I also think what's important here is to be very clear that we've got to refocus this back on the White House cover-up. And at the end of the day, it's President Trump that's been leading that. It's Pam Bondi, who we still want to testify, that's been leading that. So those are the issues that we've got to focus on moving forward.
And President Trump, of course, for months and months and months and months refused to put any of the files out and only agreed to do so when it was clear that it would be an overwhelming bipartisan vote in Congress to force him to do so.
Now let's go back and talk a little bit about Melania's past right now, how her parents got in here on what is derisively referred to by right-wing people as chain migration. Melania's background is shrouded in lots of question marks, and I want to go through some of those question marks right now. So Melania arrives, 1996. She says she goes to the University of Slovenia, and that she got a degree. It turns out that she didn't really get a degree. I think she dropped out after her freshman year. She said she's this superstar model. It doesn't seem that she was like a superstar model. She showed up. She meets Donald Trump. She gets this Einstein visa, I think in like 2001, 2002, an Einstein visa, which is intended for like the people who are at the highest level of their careers and the highest level of their, in my opinion. Did she really get an Einstein visa? Those are questions that we should all ask. She marries Donald Trump a few years later, and then she's able to get her family members here under, with what the MAGAs refer to as chain migration, which is something that they want to ban. I mean, remember that during the campaign, Donald Trump was saying that he was going to hold a press conference and reveal Melania. People had lots of questions about Melania's immigration status when Trump ran the first time in 2015, 2016. Remember, he goes, "Don't worry, I'm going to hold a press conference." Here, play this clip.
Wait, they said my wife Melania might have come in illegally. Can you believe that one? No. They said headlines. Maybe she came in illegally. Maybe. Let me tell you one thing. She has got it so documented. So she's going to have a little news conference over the next couple of weeks. That's good. That's good. I love it. They said Melania Trump may have come into our country illegally. And how would that be for Donald Trump to be talking? Here's the only problem. She came in totally legally. I mean, so it's one of those things. All right, but you'll see it in a little while. I said to her, no, let it simmer for a little while. Let them go wild. Let it simmer. And then let's have a little news conference and have some fun.
And remember when Melania seemingly plagiarized Michelle Obama's speech? Let's play this clip.
We're raised with so many of the same values. Like, you work hard for what you want in life, that your word is your bond, that you do what you say you're gonna do.
My parents impressed on me the values that you work hard for what you want in life, that your word is your bond, and you do what you say and keep your promise.
That you treat people with dignity and respect, even if you don't know them and even if you don't agree with them.
That you treat people with respect. They thought and showed me values and morals in their daily life.
You know, and then you had Melania also talking about, you know, like when Donald Trump, when the audio of Donald Trump saying he grabs women by their genitals because he's rich and you get away with it. Melania said, "Oh, that's locker room talk. That's just locker room talk." Remember that she said that? Here, play this clip.
He described it as locker room talk.
Mm-hmm.
To you, I mean, you sort of alluded to that as well. Is that what it is to you, just locker room talk?
Yeah, it's kind of two teenage boys. Actually, they should behave better, right?
He was 59.
Correct. And sometimes I said, I have two boys at home. I have my young son and I have my husband.
And then recently, Melania referred to herself as a visionary. With that as her background, she described herself as, "I'm a visionary," which is a weird thing to say. Play this clip.
As a visionary, I know success is not born overnight, but rather takes shape after a long and sometimes challenging process. Often alone at the top, I follow my passion, listen to my instinct, and always maintain a laser focus. In solitude, my creative mind dances, filling my imagination with originality. Attention to detail, demanding schedules, and multitasking are everyday realities when building towards success. The principle resonates across all my roles as a mother, humanitarian, philanthropist, and entrepreneur. As well as with my new film, where I shaped its creative direction, served as a producer, managed post-production, and activated the marketing campaign.
And as noted in Harry Enton's clip, in my opinion, her movie Melania was just a total and utter failure. I don't even think it told the real story of her. I think there's lots of gaps in it. We'll just say that. That should still be explored. You know, and you have lots of people asking about, you know, Melania's background. I mean, think about Melania right now as well. What has she been doing? The Melania meme coin, which is an utter failure, and so many people lost money in the Melania meme coin. You know, she's out there selling all these like weird stuff on her Melania website. I remember that the various Trump political action committees would fund like Melania's, hair and makeup and all of that. But lots of people are asking the right questions now about Melania, and as they should. It's a front and center issue. We have lots of questions, and we've always been talking about it here on the MeidasTouch Network, and we're going to keep pursuing it. Everybody hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers, and thanks everybody for watching.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to add the MeidasTouch podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts for new updates every single day.